What's going on, guys? This is the Fullstack bro coming at you with another video today. In today's video, we're going to be talking about why developers are failing interviews and some of the common mistakes that I find while doing interviews that developers could improve on. Okay, so like when you first interview, you're going to fail a lot. Trust me. The first interview that you get, you're not going to do well on it. And the reason for that is like when the lights are on, you could freeze up, you could get nervous, you could, not be as fluent on the interview and be as technical as you think you are. Interviewing in itself is a process. I failed so many interviews starting out. There was one interview that I had that's like one of the worst interviews I've ever done. And I'll have a video about that to go in detail. But long story short, I thought I knew everything. I was jumping in from a front-end developer to a software engineer, and I thought I made it. I thought I was the best. I knew what I was doing and that I could get any job at this time. And then fast forward, I knew that I didn't know as much as I thought I did. And that was a huge wake-up call. And that had to bring my ego down a notch and really become a student and learn as much as I could. And that made me more confident when doing interviews. So I'm just going to give you guys a list of some of the issues that I find with interviews and how to, go into an interview being confident and actually enjoying the process. Doing an interview, yes, of course, there's a lot on the line. You get a new opportunity that you love in terms of the company, the culture, and you just want to provide value. And you know that you could do it, but being in front of like a panel of interviewers and actually describing like what you could do, all the skills that you know, and what kind of value that you bring is nerve-wracking in itself. You have to practice this every single time. So one thing is the technical details. You focus too much on technical details. What I mean by this is you could be an amazing coder, right? You could solve problems, you could get things done. But if you're not looking at project at the big picture, meaning understanding the requirements to its core and just writing code just to get things done, that's a huge problem. What interviewers want to know is how you go about solving problems, ask questions, communicate between teams. If you were to challenge that and think about the project from a bigger picture as to what user is going to be using it, how they're going to be using it, and applying that and actually going through the workflow yourself, you're going to do fine. So stop focusing on the technical details so much. Look at the requirements and the end goal, the bigger picture, and have that communication. That's key to getting a job opportunity. The next thing is inadequate preparation. This comes from the front end, system design, communication, all that stuff. If you can't prepare or you choose not to prepare because you think that you know everything, it's going to show in the interview, trust me. And that's going to be a huge wake-up call. Spend time understanding the systems and how the tech stack works. And then also when it comes to solving problems and you got to do a coding challenge, practice that as well. Okay. Make sure that you practice enough to know where you could just write code and you should be okay to solve a problem. The next thing that I've noticed is your past work experience. What impact have you had in the past for your previous job? Were you just a number, or were you actually like being in the meetings and talking with product managers, getting the requirements correct, really being a problem solver? If you can't tell me from your past experience what impact that you've made, what projects that you've helped scale, it's gonna just show me like, okay, you overinflated your resume with all these nice little business catchwords, but you can't really tell me what impact that you had in your past work experience. So if you made an impact, make sure that you voice that. There might be questions as opposed to like, for example, how do you deal with tech debt in your previous job? If you just say, nah, I'll keep tech debt as it is and we'll just keep going, that just shows that you're not challenging yourself to refactor that code, to make it better, to make it scalable, right? If you've scaled an application by making it better by 50%, put that in your resume. And then when that question comes up, you could effectively talk about it because you've already done the work. So don't overinflate your resume. It's going to show up in the interview process and you're not going to get the job. Trust me. Another thing is, ignoring your soft skills. You don't know how to communicate. You're not a culture fit, right? You don't understand the core values of what the company is trying to do. If you're just trying to get a job to get a paycheck, of course, everybody wants to get a nice paycheck at the end of the day. But if you really don't like being a developer, don't do it. Don't waste your time. Do something that you actually enjoy. Communication between engineers, product, other people within the company, that's gonna help you succeed. If you understand these flows, then you're gonna do well. If you're stuck on a problem for more than an hour, communicate that with a team member on the team. Pair program it. Do something so you're not wasting time. Because one thing I hate is spending 1 to 2 hours on an issue and I can't get anywhere, and then my ego comes in and I have to like force myself to solve the problem myself. I don't want to ask for help. I've learned that asking for help after like spending 45 minutes to an hour on something saves me a lot more time and gives me more understanding from a developer that knows more than me about that area of the product. Put that ego to the side, ask for help, you know, like that's what's gonna make you more successful. And always work on your soft skills, speak to people. Like don't just sit in the shell and in the dark, just coding. It's not gonna help you. Another thing, like I talked about requirements, is not asking clarifying questions. Clarify exactly what the design is. If you're working on a new feature, you need to clarify the requirements. When you get a ticket of what the requirements are for a particular piece of the feature that you need to build, analyze those requirements, ask questions. What is the workflow? Design like the actual workflow in itself from the requirements, and then bring this up to the product manager or the stakeholders and say, hey, like, this is what I came up with. Does this make sense? And I guarantee you, if you do this, you have a full understanding of the feature that you need to build. Asking clarifying questions instead of writing code and getting things done is gonna save you a lot of time, is gonna make you more productive. And at the end of the day, everybody's gonna be happy. If you could articulate that during the interview, especially if you're doing a coding challenge, as you're writing code, ask questions. Is this the right approach, right? What if we did it this way? That would help. You'll get more answers doing that, and then you could effectively code out a better solution. Another thing I've noticed too is relying on one programming language. We don't know when a language is actually going to cease to exist. For example, if there's a new way of writing websites out, right? We're not using HTML anymore. That's gone, right? Then what you gonna do? Same thing with like styling up a website. CSS is gone. What are you gonna do? JavaScript, same thing. Any backend technology that's being used, if that goes away, like if Python goes away tomorrow, what you gonna do? Learn the next best thing. Learn more languages. Just don't stick to one particular language. It keeps you in a box. It doesn't expand your horizons to getting more opportunities. So if all you're focusing on is building websites, yeah, a lot of people need websites nowadays, but there's a lot of like applications now, CMS systems, that have AI built into it to where you could build out a full-fledged website doing nothing because AI is doing all the work. Use AI to your advantage, guys. Don't be scared of AI. It's not gonna take all of our jobs. It will make us more productive as developers. I use AI all the time to solve problems. And sometimes, like, while I'm reading the prompts, I'm like, this is not really correct. And then when I correct AI, it tells me, you're absolutely right, this is wrong. And then it gives me another solution. It's pretty much an assistant to help you get to solving a problem much quicker, as opposed to just going on forums, trying to figure things out, like, and then try to just rip and replace different styles of code. Learn as much as you can. When you're stuck on a problem, it will give you the answer. Now, I'm not saying use AI while you're on the interview because you'll get caught on that, trust me. But learn different languages. Learn as many languages as you can to add to your tech stack, and you'll notice that you'll have more opportunities to apply for different jobs and get interviews. Another thing too is practicing behavioral questions. If I ask you, what challenge have you faced in your previous work experience? How are you gonna answer that question? Just like, oh, you know what? I just let another developer handle it and I just write my code and that's it. If you tell me that, you don't even want to solve a problem. If you answer the question effectively like this, when it came to a challenge and it was something beyond my control, I reached out to other people on the team to get assistance and get more information about the problem and how to solve it. We came up with a solution together. We tested it in QA, everything looked good, and we created a hotfix to get this done because it's critical. If you're asked about a challenge in a project when hitting a deadline, like how do you go about hitting a deadline? It gives you a baseline as to when this feature needs to be out. But if there's a technical blocker getting over that deadline, then I will communicate that we can't do this on this deadline because we are blocked. We have to spend more time understanding the problem at its core and then writing out the solution. Not just saying, oh, I'm just gonna work 12-hour nights and try to get this deadline done. That's not what we care about. We care about how would you go about solving a problem more effectively and not just relying on yourself every single time to do it, because you're gonna run into more issues and pitfalls if you do that. So you have to be a team player. Like, behavioral questions are about being a team player. Are you just in it for yourself, or are you here to help and provide value for everybody else? The last thing that I have on this list is very, very important, okay? Constructive criticism. Do you get defensive when people give you feedback? Do you use your ego as to be like, you know what, I could do whatever I need to do. I'm good at whatever I need to do, and I don't care what anybody says. If you're writing code and it's not working and you say you're wrong to someone that points it out and other people are pointing it out, that's a huge issue. I don't want you on my team. Like, you're not giving us anything. It's just more back and forth as to why you're wrong. And then I'm wasting time trying to help you along, and you're not taking my constructive criticism as something that's positive. If you get feedback on an interview and then they give you point blank, either you did well, you didn't do well, these are the things that you can improve on, take that and build on top of your interviews. Interview. The more you interview and you learn from your mistakes, the better you will be, and you'll be more comfortable and relaxed and actually enjoy the process. Focusing too much on just trying to get that job, if it's a job that you really like and you're preparing and you think you did well, but then you get a rejection email, don't take it personally. It's just all part of the game. You can't be all perfect, but it might have been one area that you didn't know, and that's one of the key areas that they need, and you just didn't have it. But if you're willing to learn, you might get away with that. But the whole point here is, don't be defensive. Don't be defensive. Take as much criticism as you can, apply, keep getting better, and I guarantee you will do way better on these interviews and get an offer for that. Just keep going at it. Like, trust me, like I said before, I failed interviews multiple times. The only way that I got better and actually got a job was doing interviews and actually taking initiative to showcase my skills in a different way. If you wanted to build out your own project and just showcase your skills that way, you could do that as well. Take a project, build something, showcase it to the other developers that you're gonna be doing a technical interview with, and just explain your code. Explain exactly what you built, the workflow, how you got the data, all this stuff. That's gonna get rid of all the other questions that they have. They already know that you could code, right? So take initiative, okay? Take initiative, do the things that you need to do. Keep interviewing, don't be discouraged, and you'll do fine, all right? So that's it, guys, that's the video. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know about your interviews, like how has it been? If you're actually getting interviews, if you're doing well on these interviews, we could talk about it in the comments, So, all right, guys, talk soon.